Weeks after 18-year-old Nolan Wells went to Horn Island with a group of friends on the 4th of July and never made it home, there still isn't a publicly established answer to exactly how Nolan lost his life. Now, Nolan was a college football player from Mississippi, and some sources suggest that he was the only black person aboard the boat that took him to the island that day. And depending on who you listen to, you can come away with two very different versions of Nolan's final hours. Nolan's so-called friends maintain that he was alive when they left the island, and that he voluntarily remained back on the island himself. But Nolan's parents question why would their son leave the group that took him to the island, especially when his phone returned to the mainland without him. Now obviously this case hit a nerve, especially among black people here in America, because it seems like way too commonly it doesn't end well for a black person who goes out on a trip or something like that with a group of all white people. And that's not me being prejudiced at all. That's just me explaining to you guys a part of the reason people felt so strongly about this case from the very beginning. Either way, it's been about a month since the tragic story broke, so I really just want to show you guys both sides of the story and all of the evidence that we have so far. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, hype up this video. I'm a smaller channel and this helps me out a ton in the algorithm. Also, it lets me know that you guys want to see more of this kind of content. But now back to the video. Nolan traveled with his friends by private boat to Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi on July 4th. His friends returned, but Nolan didn't. And one of the biggest unanswered questions that surround the case is exactly what it was that Nolan intended to do when the boat left. The original story given to us by his friends state that Nolan met a young lady named Katie and that he chose to remain on the island with Katie. But according to Katie's sister, that isn't completely true. According to an article written by TMZ, Katie's sister Gracie told the Daily Mail Katie had a conversation and assumed Nolan was getting ready to go on the boat he came out on. And Nancy Grace summarized this disagreement while speaking with Stephen A. Smith.
Is your findings consistent with anything along that verbiage with what people are saying about these kids that were with him?
No, I don't know the answer to that. They say Nolan chose to stay behind because he met a girl he wanted to talk to named Katie. That girl has spoken through her sister, we are told, and she says Nolan told her, "I'm going back with my friends." So, who am I supposed to believe? I don't know for a fact that what the boys are saying is true. I don't know for a fact that what the boys are saying is false.
But when it comes to Nolan's family, they immediately didn't believe this whole stay behind story. And Nolan's father explained why they didn't believe it and why it bothered them from the beginning. He said that he had repeatedly taught Nolan, if you travel somewhere in a group, you travel back with that group.
They say that he stayed behind voluntarily. Why would he stay behind?
That we cannot answer. I can't fathom why he would.
I don't know why he would. We always taught him to, if you go with a group, you stay with a group. Mm-hmm. Even when he was in college, he would say, "Dad, well, we're gonna ride down to a party or something in another city." Now, so I was out telling him, "Look, if you go with 5, you come back with 5. Do not separate from the group."
Now, a parent saying that something is unusual for their child to do doesn't prove that their child didn't do it. I mean, Nolan was 18, and 18-year-olds can be pretty unpredictable, but on top of his parents saying that those supposed actions were unlike him, there was also the whole controversy that surrounded Nolan's phone. According to Nolan's mother, after wondering where he was for a while, freaking out and calling him, one of the guys that was actually with Nolan on the boat, Warren, actually called her after they returned back from the island. And while people started to try to locate Nolan, she checked Life 360. According to his mom, the app said that Nolan was back on the mainland, even though Warren was saying that he stayed behind on the island.
So when I received the phone call from Warren, I immediately called my friend Toshima and I said, "Hey, have you guys seen Nolan?" Because her two sons, Jalen and Javon, like they grew up together. They played city league sports together. When they got into school, they played sports together. And so she was like, hey, like, okay, the boys were pulling up the location from Snapchat. So the Snapchat location looks completely different than the Life 360 location. So when I pulled up Life 360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been. Like it had, I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land. Like I'm not, he's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
Well, how were you able to get the phone?
So we tracked it, and my friend Tashima went and picked it up.
Now keep in mind, Life 360 was showing the location of Nolan's phone and not necessarily Nolan himself, but still this left us with an unresolved question. Why was Nolan and his phone separated? And after receiving Nolan's phone, his family also became concerned about the contents on his phone. Nolan's mother said that her and her sister looked through his 2 Snapchat accounts and stated that they were surprised by how little they found, mainly because according to her, Nolan always posted videos when he went out.
When we finally got his phone, me and my sister went through the phone. We went in his Snapchat. He had 2 accounts, absolutely nothing. It wasn't even 24 hours, which is how long videos and pictures stay in Snapchat. And I was just like, that can't be. Like, I've seen Nolan whenever he snaps, like when he goes and he's having fun, like he does videos, like there was absolutely nothing.
This is another place where we have to separate suspicion from proof, mainly because the family finding less Snapchat content than expected doesn't prove that someone deleted it. And Nolan's so-called friends have denied touching or deleting anything on his phone. Still, Nolan's phone became such a point of contention, and Nolan's family's attorney said that their proposal was for their team to work with the Jackson County District Attorney, as well as the FBI, to participate together so that his phone could be examined under an agreed process.
We have procedures that the courts require that we as lawyers ethically have to follow in order to turn over evidence. There's chains of custody. There's protected private information, and we are willing, in fact today, I'm not doing anything the rest of the day, to meet with the FBI and our person, our expert, to go over that phone, and we've made that clear. So we're ready to do that at any moment.
Now that's important because there's been reports going around that the family is simply refusing to turn over Nolan's phone. But no, that's not the case. They just want a fair investigation, and they feel like if they can't be a part of the process, they're not going to get one. Then there's the sea tow call. You see, the boat carrying Nolan's friends experienced trouble when leaving Horn Island, and somebody aboard contacted sea tow. Now, after audio connected to the call started to circulate, people started enhancing the audio, trying to find words and voices in it. Some people interpreted this audio as Nolan being aboard the boat on the way back.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. Shut the fuck up!
And during an interview, when asked about this, Nolan's friends strongly disputed this interpretation. This is what they had to say about it.
As you posted that clip of all of us on the boat, you know, as it's rolling, not rolling, but right there sitting in the water, Wyatt's on the phone with Cito in that clip. I mean, he's on the phone. Wouldn't you think that you would have seen Nolan on the bottom of on the floor or something, or scrambling around, or everybody in a pot, like in a small space on the boat looking at him or something? I mean, it's just so crazy to think that, why would we call Cito if we have a dead body on the boat? I mean, why would we call the Coast Guard? You know, why would we do the things we did if we know we killed somebody?
Now, their argument is that there was a video from during the time of the call, and that video shows that they were behaving normally and that Nolan wasn't on the boat. And another friend continued the argument by pointing out how much of the deck could be seen.
Some of these people you can't convince, regardless. They're gonna believe what they want to believe. If they want to believe that my friends and I had something to do with Nolan dying, then they're gonna believe that regardless of what you put out. But you put out, Brandon, that a clip of the boat when Wyatt was on the phone with Cito, and it is boldly clear that Nolan was not on the boat with us. You can literally almost see down to the deck. And as you can see in that picture, everybody is completely casual while Wyatt's on the phone with Cito. Yeah, we were scrambling around trying to get the boat fixed, but the guys were, in the video, you can see me, I'm sitting on the bow. If there was someone dying on the boat, why would everybody just be sitting there waiting to either get towed in or in the first place, like Jack said, why would Wyatt call Cito?
Now that video that they were talking about was relevant, but the truth is their explanation of what it proves is still their interpretation. But I also wouldn't use those enhanced audio transcripts as facts unless investigators or qualified forensic analysis authenticate the voices. Because when an audio is this unclear, people can hear different things while listening to the same recording. But still, I don't want to talk down on the people who remain suspicious about the whole situation, because I do too. From the family's perspective, their 18-year-old son went to an island with friends and he was the only one to not come back. Then despite him not coming back, his phone came back. And from the very beginning, there's been competing accounts on whether Nolan decided to stay on the island or not. Then on top of that, you add the racial context. It's hard not to be suspicious. At the most recent press conference held by Nolan's family, Al Sharpton said that Nolan's family doesn't know whether his death involved any civil rights violations, and stated that their position was essentially investigate first and decide later. Still, Nolan's friends are facing a bunch of public scrutiny online. At some point, Warren's father even offered a $50,000 reward for any information that leads to an arrest.
Warren Hudson's father has offered a $50,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of anyone responsible for Nolan Wells' death.
Now, people found this interesting because Warren comes from a family with deep legal ties in the local area. His stepmother, Ashley Cole, is a judge in the area, while his dad, Benjamin Hudson, is a medical doctor. Now, all of this brings us to one of the most important parts in the case surrounding Nolan's death, and that was the autopsy. Now, after not trusting the initial autopsy that was done by local investigators, Nolan's family obtained a second independent examination. But as you're going to hear this forensic pathologist explain, there were major limitations to what they could find during the second autopsy.
As to whether there's foul play or not, is not present in the second autopsy. For example, what kind of clothes was Mr. Wells wearing? Was he wearing a bathing suit or not? And that has to come from the police, not from the second autopsy. The first autopsy would have described the clothing. Toxicology has to be completed, which should be completed pretty soon. The condition of the lungs is not adequate in a second autopsy to determine if drowning has occurred or not, because the dissection of the lungs diffuses away any water that might be present. That would be present in the first autopsy, which has not been released.
And then comes the detail that's generated a lot of suspicion, and that's the fact that the second autopsy didn't find anything wrong with Nolan's internals, but they did find an area of discoloration on the back of his head.
The second autopsy does indicate that there's no evidence of any kinds of injuries to the internal organs or to the external of the body, except for a odd bruise, discoloration, the back of the head, the back of the head.
The head discoloration is not proof that Nolan was struck on the head before hitting the water, but it does really make you look at everything sideways. And when you strip away all the online theories, the central question is still incredibly simple. What was Nolan planning to do when his friends left Horn Island? The family's position today isn't that investigators must prove that there was foul play with Nolan's death. At their most recent press conference, their attorney repeatedly said that they just wanted a thorough investigation and wanted the evidence and methodology of that investigation verified.
What we're saying is we are open-minded. We want to trust them, but we can't be naive. We have to verify everything, as Attorney Hurt said. Whatever conclusions you come to, we want the methodology. Whatever investigation you're doing, we want to know that it's the same investigation that you would do with your child. not treat Nolan any differently. That's what we're trying to do. That's all we're asking.
And after going through all the public information, there's not enough evidence, at least publicly, to say that Nolan's friends had foul play in this situation, but I completely understand why Nolan's family, as well as many Black Americans watching this case, aren't comfortable with simply being told that this was an accident. Let me know in the comments below, how do you feel about the whole situation? Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hype up this video. It helps me out a ton and it tells me that you want to see more content just like this. Lastly, check out one of these videos on the screen because YouTube thinks you might enjoy it, but in case I don't see you guys, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace.